Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Girls to the Front podcast. It feels like it has been ages, and I think that's because it has been ages. I am in the process of trying to bring some new guests onto the podcast because I feel like that's where it has real value. And in light of that, I just took my foot off the gas and stopped recording myself. And I've just been putting out kind of monthly recap episodes, but I'm going to interrupt the monthly recaps today for a really quick episode on something that I've been mulling over in my brain this week as a result of last week. So last week I went away and I completely switched off. This is like super, like it's actually really outside of my comfort zone to do this. Normally what I do when I go away is I'm going to hear people like shouting at me now. But when I normally go away, I keep access to my work emails. I keep access to all of my social media accounts. I keep everything switched on because I hate the anticipation of coming back to stuff to do. So what I normally do, which when I say out loud and I vocalize, but the way that my brain works, this makes total sense to me. What I normally do is I will leave my work emails on and I will keep track of them. And this means I can filter out stuff that doesn't need to be a priority. So I'll literally just delete them because they don't need to exist in my inbox. I'd normally delete them anyway. They're normally spam. They're normally just adverts for journal submissions and things like that. So I just remove them so that I keep a cleaner inbox, so that when I come back, I feel like I've got like some sort of sense and less chaos in my inbox. This is not helpful on any level. And having now not done that, I realize how stupid this approach to life was. Because at the end of the day, you just come back and you spend an hour just going, or an hour or two, just going through your inbox, and that's totally fine. But what I would normally do is keep my email switched on. I keep all my social media accounts active. And I would normally spend some time on my phone at the end of the day. So what normally happens when we go away, like a typical day, we get up, we have breakfast, and we make sandwiches. I'm laughing because I think this is really funny because I thought this was just something that we did, as in like, so basically, I'll cut a long story short. When I was scrolling on social media before I went away a few months ago, I saw a reel where someone was like, this is just me eating my sandwich in front of this amazing mountain. And I was like, oh my God, other people do it too. So what we do is we get up, we have breakfast, we'll make sandwiches. And then we take the sandwiches on whatever adventure we've got planned, like fucking Paddington Bear. But yeah, we normally try and like stock a lunchbox so that one, we save money on eating out when we're out and about. But also so that we have snacks, because we do tend to go for quite long walks. We go for lots of treks up mountains, or we go explore, and we don't want anything to kind of get in the way of that happening. So carry food with us all the time, so we've got lots of fuel, and it just means that we're not interrupting the day having to go search for food. So yeah, we'd get up, make breakfast, go out and do whatever we do. That could take anywhere between like 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. And then when we'd come back, we've got a bit of downtime then while we like have food, get the dog like all calmed down and settled and chilling out. And then I would spend some time on my phone. Again, when I say this out loud, it does sound really stupid, but I felt like if I stopped connecting, or if I turned off that ability to connect with other people, it would lose, like some of my relationships would lose momentum. I wouldn't be in the loop. I would miss out on things. I have this crippling, crippling fear of missing out, let's say, alongside my crippling fear of my crippling empathy. But what this means is that I fear that I'm going to miss out on big events, or I'm going to miss out on people putting out amazing content, or I'm going to miss out on something. And because of this, I don't want to disconnect on any level. So I keep everything live. I'll keep, checking social media. I like Instagram is my primary one, and I will just keep looking at it. And what I find when I reflect back, when I come home, is that actually I've not switched off at all. And I spend a big portion of my time while I'm away, still having the exact same thoughts. I'm present, but I could be more present. And I just feel like it's a big lost opportunity for me to finally just go and have some headspace. So the last week we went and spent some time in Yorkshire just exploring. I've always really wanted to go to York because I love history, I love beautiful cities, and I love exploring them. So because I hadn't been to York, we went to Yorkshire so that we could factor that in. And this was like the first time I can honestly say that I've switched off. And maybe I might have cheated slightly. I didn't necessarily switch my phone off and put my phone away. I just put it on to do not disturb mode. Now, again, this is a fault in the way that my brain works, but I have this fear that if someone can't get hold of me in an emergency, something like if I don't have that ability, the emergency will happen. I won't be there. So I put it on do not disturb because it means that if anyone had an emergency, they could get in contact with me, and that made me feel more at peace with what I was doing. But yeah, I put my phone in do not disturb mode. I decided that I was not going to check any of my work emails. I was not going to check social media, and I was just going to spend any downtime that I had reading or just trying to be present, basically. So, I did it, and I actually feel like refreshed and clear in my mind. It was, I literally, like, I talk a lot about, like, being connected, and I love that the internet does this, and I love that social media does this. And if you curate fantastic feeds full of people that make you feel empowered and speak to you and give you really good positive feelings, then I feel like it can be like a huge resource for you, and it can open up so many doors and so many conversations. But actually, sometimes that does become really overwhelming, and it does give you a lot of brain fog and overwhelm at like the possibilities or the conversations you could and should be having. And I just felt like I got to a point, like a big kind of like an upward trajectory just before I went away, of feeling that overwhelm all the time and having to feel like I had to be online or I had to be doing something. Like my existence was just to exist, but in like a digital way. And I was getting like quite I was getting like quite stuck in feeling like I had to do something. So this switching off and taking all the pressure off myself to do anything, to post anything, and just to exist as me while I was away in these places felt huge. And yeah, as much as I talk about connection, sometimes I feel like there is infinite power in disconnection. And I just mean it doesn't even have to be for like a big period of time, like a few days. It can just be a day or even a few hours, but just trying to put your phone somewhere where it's out of sight. It's not a temptation. You're not going to go on it. You're not going to start doom scrolling and comparing yourself to other people and giving your brain space to start having lots of thoughts. Just trying to find like those little snapshots in time where you can actually be disconnected. I was speaking a lot in my recaps around I haven't read anything this month, or I haven't done it, and I was realizing it's because I was taking up all of my time just doom scrolling or looking at something or trying to find inspiration, and actually it was getting in the way of me consuming books and consuming stuff that was really good for my brain. So I managed to finish that book I've been fucking talking about for months. I actually finished it. And it was fucking brilliant. So yeah, really glad I've done that. I started a new book. All of these like positive things has happened as a result of me just trying to disconnect. So this episode is just a reminder that you can disconnect. You can switch off. You can put your phone away. You can deem yourself incontactable. Is that a word? You can deem yourself non-contactable, except for emergency, if that helps your brain like mine, for a period of time, and nothing negative will happen as a result. None of your relationships will disintegrate just because you haven't spoken to someone for a few days or an hour or a period of time. If your friends, if your relationships are strong enough, you should be able to step away for some time and then go back and pick stuff up as if time had not passed. I believe anyway. Other people might have a different opinion. Those people are still going to be in your life no matter what. There might be stuff that happens on social media. Doesn't fucking matter. It exists forever. So you can just go on there and look at it later on. You can go search for it later on. But sometimes the best thing is just stopping looking at what other people are doing so that you don't feel that pressure to keep doing stuff or to look a certain way or to present yourself in a certain way. You just need that time to switch off. And like, I was thinking about this when I came back, and then I was like, as always, the universe starts throwing up loads of stuff. And I realized that there are actually quite a few people advocating for this. So there is a influencer, I guess, I follow called Venetia Faulkner. She's a vegan food blogger and a climate change activist and someone that raises lots of awareness around workers' rights that are making very cheap clothing. But she does offline 48. So every weekend she just puts her phone away. She doesn't pick it back up until Monday. And then she just talks about how she's missed nothing and she's done some lush things and she's still taking pictures of it. And you can talk about that later. It doesn't have to be then and there. Fern Cotton had mentioned how she'd started putting her phone away and had actually bought a disposable camera and had been documenting her days through this disposable camera. So she was still collecting those memories, but it wasn't through her phone. And then she developed it at the end of summer, and actually it produced some really beautiful snapshots because she was present in the moment, did take a photo, but then didn't end up scrolling on her phone or worrying about what caption she was going to put when she posted it. There's like quite a few signs everywhere that suggest, well, I mean, as humans, we shouldn't be fucking looking at blue screens anyway, but blue light. But yeah, I just feel like there is lots and lots of power in being able to disconnect yourself for your own mental health and for your own well-being. But for me, I needed to give myself permission and parameters to do that because otherwise my brain hated the idea of it. And sometimes you do have to navigate things differently. It's not always the same stuff that works for certain people. Like putting your phone in a drawer and then walking away from it works for some people and they can do that for days on end, but for other people that's not the case. Just finding out what parameters work for you and then just being able to say like, no, I'm not doing those things and I'm gonna be present. Maybe it was a cop out because I was away in beautiful countryside and living my best life, but at the same time I have now just realized that sometimes I do just need to disconnect, and that's totally fine and nothing bad will happen as a result. So I just wanted to share that little epiphany and maybe hope that it inspire you. So if you're feeling particularly anxious or overwhelmed, or you are feeling like that self-talk starts to get really negative, I think the first thing you should probably look at doing is stepping away from social media for a little bit, because it's only going to feed into those feelings and heighten them infinitely. So that's from me to you. Put your fucking phone down. The irony that you're probably now listening to this on a phone is not lost on me. So I'm now going to share a song with you that I think you should all listen to. While I was away, I was a little bit gutted because Scowl played in Cardiff and I didn't get to go watch them because I was away at the time. I highly recommend going and listening to the first ever podcast episode with Kat, with the lead singer of Scowl, because some of the stuff that they talk about and bring up really resonated with me. I think as someone that is now coming into liking a certain type of music and engaging with a certain type of music quite later on, or discovering new music later on, it was like really affirming to hear someone that's like highly embedded in the hardcore scene say that their first gig was One Direction. It's just all about how you navigate and end up with liking certain stuff. There's no fixed pathway. It doesn't make you uncool or cool, no matter what path you take, you know. So someone that went and watched One Direction as their first gig and openly says that they were obsessed with One Direction in the podcast episode, ended up being a fucking mega cool human. So the song I'm going to recommend is Fuck Around by Scowl. And I have to give a shout out to Amy because she got me a t-shirt, you're the best, but also spoke to Kat, and there's been, I don't know if you've seen, but we've been putting out the Know Your Body zine together. So me and Amy as Rise Above Cancer co-produced this zine alongside Janie, and the feedback, the love, everything about it has just been phenomenal. And Amy's been speaking to some incredible people about it. So Sammy from Drain, Kat from Scowl. And yeah, it's just been phenomenal to like have that level of positivity of people that you kind of like look up to and think are really fucking cool, tell you that your ideas and what you've created is really worthwhile. And yeah, it fills my heart with so much joy. So enjoy. And I will see you on the next podcast.